All right. Well, welcome to the podcast. Jeremy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing good. I'm doing good. It's exciting times as we were talking before we hit record, talking about parenting and the holidays and owning a business and all of the fun and craziness that goes on with that. But I'm doing good. Happy to be here, and yeah, excited to learn more about you, Jeremy, and talking about branding photography and attracting clients with that. But before we get into that, why don't you tell folks a little bit more about who you are and tell us about your story. How did you get into this branding photography and specifically helping therapists too?
Yeah. So I'm Jeremy. I bought my first camera December of 2018. I was in college, and my plan was to be a landscape photographer
Mm,
because I figured I like taking pictures of sunsets. I figured it'd be a good way to get out in nature.
yeah.
Um, a month after I bought, or maybe 2 weeks after I bought the camera, my college has these monthly worship events. So I took my camera, started taking pictures, and immediately fell in love with taking pictures of people, and have yet to do a single landscape photo since then.
Awesome.
Um, so from there, I did portraits for my friend's senior recital. When I went back home, I'd grab my brother and would do stuff, and then would do events for my parents' church, and it just kind of built up from there. Um, I moved. I'm from Maryland, and I moved here in 2020, and then just started trying to work with other business owners, doing headshots because that's just kind of where I landed and really liked.
Yeah.
Um, the My wife is also a therapist, and so she gets free headshots.
That's
Um,
right. Yep.
and then in doing stuff for her, she connected me with some of her friends, and some of her friends connected me with some other people.
Yeah.
And so I just found that I really like working with therapists. It just has tended to be people I gel with really well. I also
Hmm.
studied counseling in college, um,
Oh, wow.
but just didn't go to grad school. Um, and so between that and then my wife, and then all the people that she's connected me with, and then the people they have connected me with, um, I've just found my niche in working with therapists, and it's been great. So that's the quick version of how I got here.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's interesting. I'm kind of like reflecting on my own journey with photography because I was more like, hobbyist
Yeah.
and I thought maybe someday it would grow into something else. And like, I'm the one who loves the landscape stuff, and
Yeah.
we used to take mission trips, more often than we get to
Hmm.
nowadays, but that was always like a huge part of it for me was to tell the story of those trips
Yeah.
via the photos. And then sometimes I would do like Mother's Day portraits and stuff for
Hmm.
folks at our church, and but it just never really blossomed beyond that. And I feel like I feel overwhelmed when taking pictures of people, especially when it comes to posing. It's like, oh my
It
gosh,
can be a lot.
if
Yeah.
I get this wrong, So my wife is always like, take these photos, like let's get a family photo. And I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
like
Family
let's
photos are a
do
lot,
it. Yeah.
especially when there's like when it gets past like seven, eight, nine, 10
Yeah.
big families, then it's just a lot. And
Yeah.
then all the kids are wanting to run everywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those
It
can
just
be a
kind of
lot.
it stresses out my nervous system. So
Yeah.
I'm like, let me just stick to landscapes, please.
Yeah. Still love it.
Well, cool. So how long have you been, are you doing this full time? Is this a side thing? Like, tell us more about the
We're
business and
getting
like
into
how you
full
do it.
time. We're
Yeah.
not quite full time yet. Still have a few more goals to be more consistent with that, but
Yeah.
we're getting there.
Cool.
Had more and more clients this year than last year. So
Awesome. All right, cool. Well, so we're going to be talking about branding photography, which
yeah.
I appreciate, this topic specifically. It's something that's near and dear to my heart, as we work on private practice websites. And one of the biggest things, that I look for is the photography of, the therapist, or if it's a
Yeah.
larger team. Sometimes that can be a huge factor, like a differentiating factor in the quality of a website that somebody is
Yeah.
investing thousands and thousands of dollars in a beautiful website, and then they have a bunch of selfies, of their team, and it doesn't jive
Yeah.
well with,
Yeah.
the look and feel. So yeah, this is near and dear to my heart. So let's kind of like start at the beginning. I'm not sure if everyone has heard of quote unquote branding photography. So like
Mhm.
tell us a little bit more of what do you mean by branding photography or branded photography?
Yeah. So when most people think photo shoot, initially they go to headshots,
Hmm.
which is also needed. And as most people know, headshot is basically just from, chest up, or just at the shoulders.
Yeah.
And it's really just putting a face to the name. Hey, I'm a professional. Hey, I'm a therapist, and I look the part. When you step into branding, you're really trying to capture more of like the whole person.
Hmm.
Um, Sometimes you might want to try and tell a story, and capture a bunch of different aspects of the person. And usually these photos are utilized in a wider aspect. So, like for headshots, it's mainly just a profile picture. It's going to show up on the about page, your Psychology Today profile, LinkedIn, whatever social media, um, and maybe on flyers if you're like a speaker somewhere.
Right.
Whereas branding photos, you'll typically get more variety. So, like with a headshot session, you'll probably just get 1 to 3 photos unless you get more. And then branding photos, you're probably looking at upwards of at least 20, 40, 60. It depends on the photographer, but you're
Hmm.
getting a lot more photos.
Yeah.
And that way you have more variety for stuff like social media, for the website, and any other applications or ads or anything else that you want to do with it. And it's really to help tell a more complete picture of who you are, not just, hey, I'm a professional, hey, I'm a therapist, but here are all these other sides to me. I'm
Yeah.
fun or quirky, or I like this particular book, or these are some resources that I like using. Um, this is how I interact with my clients. There's a wide range of applications and ways that we can capture different photos, but it's all about really telling more of who you are more than just I'm a therapist.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll obviously link up, to your website, and I want folks listening to kind of go check that out because you'll know exactly what Jeremy's talking about. Yeah, as you look through your portfolio, and yeah, I looked at the photos that you did of Kim, who connected
Yeah,
us
yeah, yeah,
originally. And like you could see personality kind of come across in
yes,
these
yeah,
photos. It's not just like you said, a headshot, which is
yeah,
necessary and it's something that's needed for certain applications.
hmm,
But just like when you see video, you kind of get a sense of like who the person is. This is kind of close to that, in my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah,
When I look at especially the photos I saw of Kim, is like, oh, I can really tell more of her personality, or what is it like to sit across from this person,
yeah,
and you see sort of the warmth and the like,
hmm,
kindness of the eyes, and also. If it's in someone's therapy office, you get a little bit more of the office space as
yes, yeah,
well,
yeah,
and I think that does a lot to connect those potential clients when they're maybe,
yeah,
nervous or anxious about reaching out for help. It
yeah,
helps them to just picture what it's going to be like with this person.
yeah. And it helps potential clients have a better understanding of who they're working with, um, and see if they could vibe with a person like that.
Yeah,
Um, it's hard to tell that with just one headshot because it's usually just professional, which I mean, we're already here looking for a professional therapist. So
right.
we've already kind of checked that box just by being on Psychology Today. But
Hmm.
um, when you have more variety and more personality shown, then you can really differentiate who you are. And then the people that are looking for someone like you are better easy. It's easier to find you,
Right.
versus just the simple professional headshot, which is still needed. But
Right. Yeah. And, we're also kind of talking about like, how does this attract the right clients,
mhm.
to you? And I think that personality and that authenticity is part of what helps that. Is that what you kind of, you feel like that
Yeah,
that really helps connect people to the therapist?
yeah, for sure. Because I think at least in my understanding so far, in general, it seems like people are looking more towards personality and not just what you can do.
Yeah.
Um, People want to be able to connect with somebody and be with someone that they would actually like and enjoy and mesh well with.
Yeah.
And people judge that based off of personality now.
Hmm.
Because at this point, like everybody has the credentials, at least if you're scrolling through Psychology Today, like the
Yeah.
credentials are there.
Right.
So that's no longer a differentiating factor. And so now I think it's more so the personality and who you are and how you can best show that, and then help the right people find you. with those photos.
Yeah, and that all to me, because I'm in the website world, like that
Yeah.
all connects so well with the words that people are reading.
Hmm.
It's not enough anymore just to say like I've got these credentials, I did this, this, and
Yeah.
this, but like how can you help me? Or like is there something I connect with
Hmm.
about you, your personality, your story? It's much more emotional, and also I think too, like
Yeah.
people are the attention spans are shorter, so like we need to
Yeah.
do all these things to
Yeah.
connect really quickly, and I think
Yeah.
photography helps so much with that.
Yeah. And it works, and it all works together. Like the photos, like you were saying, go with the website and
Yeah,
whatever copy you have, and then your social media and anything else you put out. Like all of these things work together, so it's
yeah,
all part of how you market yourself.
right, yeah, and everything is consistent across all those
Yeah.
platforms, which is amazing to see.
Yeah.
Well, how do you as the photographer, I'm always curious about this, how do you
Hmm.
help capture that authenticity and that personality? Like, what are some things that you specifically do, and maybe what are some of like tips you can give folks when if they're hiring a photographer, or if they're
Yeah.
trying to if they're kind of doing a little more of a grassroots effort, they're doing this themselves.
Yeah.
Like, what are those things to help authenticity come across?
Yeah. So for my process, I start have the consultation call where it's like just the initial like what's the interest, and then once we're aligned on like what type of session we'll have, I have a strategy call. And I'll go over like, hey, what like just what are you like? What's your personality?
Yeah,
Um, and I'll create like a mood board with like different outfits, different colors, different pose ideas, and with the client, we'll go through together and be like, hey, this fits me, this doesn't fit me.
hmm,
Um, these props I think would work, these don't. I like these colors, I don't like this outfit. So that way, before we get to the session, we both have an idea of what we're going for.
yeah,
Um, and plan stuff that actually fits the clients down to outfits and the types of poses. And so that way, when we get there, like neither of us are surprised, but we still have room to try different things when we get there.
hmm,
And then the day of the session, I just try to make it as fun and as loose as possible. Like, while we'll have the plan, I'm not like, we have to get through these shots and stick to it
right, yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
But it does help both of us stay on task. But once we
yeah,
get to the session, I try and keep things loose. I definitely have music going, and that always
cool,
helps. Um, and my signature, it's not really a pose, but my signature ask is always to throw in a fake laugh.
hmm.
And it always works. It feels awkward for 2 seconds, and
Yeah.
then you actually start laughing, and
I do
then
that with my kids all the time because
yeah,
they smile so awkwardly. Like just pretend like you're laughing. Ha ha
yeah.
ha.
And so the fake laugh always works. As far as like tips go, outfit wise, I usually suggest like three types of outfits. One that you would wear in session with a client, so people
Hmm.
like have more of a feel for you in session. One, if you were like going to speak somewhere, which might be similar to in session, but it might be a little bit different.
Hmm.
Um, so one in session, one like you're speaking somewhere, and then one that's just like casual, like you're out running errands or you're it's more casual, still looks nice, but like just more of a casual
Yeah.
look, like
Yeah.
jeans and a t-shirt, that sort of thing. Um, Fake laugh still always works, whether you're using your cell phone or with a photographer.
Yeah.
Um, and just find stuff as far as like props go. Just use stuff that you actually use. I have my clients pull in books that they recommend clients, a mug that they use in session, a planner, a journal, and just use the things that you already use.
Yeah.
You don't have to try and pull things out of a hat. Just you already have a bunch of tools at your disposal, and you can include them in your photos, and it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah. And do you as like, if you're going, let's say to someone's therapy office,
Hmm.
I'm sure you're probably also like looking at the space as well and like, oh, this journal on this desk looks nice. Or you just
Yes.
kind of,
Yeah.
free snapping those, like if someone's
Yeah,
having
yeah.
trouble
If I'm
thinking of
going to the
specific
off,
things.
sorry, yeah, if I'm going to the office too, I'll get some like office setting photos as well with like
Yeah.
just the room.
Yeah.
Um, and that'll like you they were I did some for Kim as well. just to get a feel for the room itself when people step in.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so just use all the things that you have already at your disposal.
Yeah. Yeah, and as a website creator, I would say my team loves those photos because they just really there's just something about having those on on a website,
Yes,
especially
yeah.
when you got like the contact page and you're able to show off your office and that was a big thing for my wife's website and
Hmm.
for her practice because she's very proud of the space that she's created and there it's really important to her to kind of like set that sort of tone of like this is
Yes,
what you're walking into and so
yeah,
we can do that on the website. So
yeah.
having those, space, office
And it's their
space, and
office. Oh, sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
no, no, no,
Not
go.
like and it's their office and not like a stock photo you had to go
Yeah,
buy.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we don't want people to show up and be like, this doesn't
Yeah.
look familiar at all. Little bait and switch there.
Yeah.
I had one other question. When we're talking about like, stepping into a branding photography session,
Hmm.
are there certain when does this make sense for
Yeah,
for
yeah,
a
yeah.
private practice, or is there a certain like good fit client that really gets a lot out of investing in these sessions?
Yeah. It really depends on where you're at and where your goals are at. For most people, like when they're just starting out their practice, and are like still figuring things out, I usually just say, hey, let's just do a headshot session. Get your face out there, and we'll build from there as your needs grow. If you're starting to, if you're at a point of like growth and expansion, or you're looking at getting more into like speaking, consulting, and
Hmm.
really going past therapy, or beyond therapy, that's the point where I start recommending branding sessions. Although I had one client, she was starting a private practice, um, but wanted more photos to fill out her websites and
Hmm.
push more on social media. And so at that point, I recommended a branding session, and she went for that, and was thrilled with the photos. So it really depends on your goals and um, just where you're at and where you're wanting to go.
Yeah.
Um, when you're just starting out, I usually just start off with a headshot session, and we can go from there.
Yeah.
If you're really looking to grow and either push beyond therapy or just step things up a bit more, then that's when I
Yeah.
start recommending branding sessions.
Yeah. Yeah, and I will say too, like this is something I did years ago. I'm actually probably due for an update because when I look at my photos, like, oh, I was so young back then.
Yeah.
But I will say that having like a bank of photos that I know were created for me and my business, like I use them all the time for
Yeah.
backgrounds on my website, for
Hmm.
slide decks, and things that like promoting things on social media. Like it's so helpful just to have like a folder.
Yes.
I've got all these
Yeah.
photos and I don't need to
Yeah.
like go out and search for a stock photo and I know it's all my vibe. It's all something that I love. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think if it's in someone's budget to invest in this and you're ready to do that, I say go for it. It's awesome to have.
Yeah. I have a client, she's an emotional regulation coach. I did a branding session with her last year. It was a big session. I don't remember exactly, but she got a lot of photos, and she has put them to use.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's nice just having a bank of photos that you can
Yeah.
always go to,
Hmm.
and not have to go back through all these different files and folders. It's just all in one place, and it all fits.
Yeah.
And you can use it for multiple use cases, like you said, and
Right.
it helps making content a little bit easier in that regard.
Yeah, for sure. And out of all, we kind of threw out like all different types of photos you can have. Like out of all of that, I'm curious to hear like, are there like three poses or shots that you're like, if you can only do this, make sure you have these three,
Okay, three photos.
putting you on the spot.
Um, yeah, I actually wrote a blog on this a couple months ago, and now
Oh,
I can't
cool.
remember it. Um,
We could always link that up too in the
yeah.
show notes for this.
Um, I know one of them is typically like a warm headshot. So however you're standing, you can be like straight on or kind of turned. But I usually have people just kind of lean in a little bit more towards the camera.
Mm,
Um, Having more of like a soft smile, and maybe like a little bit of a laugh, but more like subtle. Um,
hmm.
and just something nice and warm. Usually is like an approachable headshot.
Yeah.
That'll be the first one. Um, Second one would probably be a therapist at the desk, either writing, journaling, reading, interacting with a prop of some sort.
Hmm.
And then the third one, if you can, it obviously we're not going to photograph a session, but grab a friend,
Yeah,
um,
right.
have them act as a client,
Yeah.
um, and just get shots of you working with them. And that also helps people better visualize possibly them being in the chair across from you.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. I can, as you're saying, as you're describing these, I'm like picturing where they'd go on a website
Yeah,
and like I could see the visual. But yeah, those are great. Those are great tips, for someone who's starting out.
yeah.
Uh, well, as we're kind of wrapping up our conversation, are there any other tips you want to leave folks with, when it comes to maybe just getting started with branded photography?
Yeah. Overall, it the big thing is just being yourself.
Mm,
You don't have to try and look like something else or look like you're we're not trying to like prop you up as like a bigger practice than you are per se, or make you look like X therapist or this business or
yeah,
something else. Like this is really all about emphasizing more of who you are, and that way the right potential clients can find you because they're looking for somebody like you and not like Joe Schmo or Jane Doe. Like they're looking for you. And so
yeah,
my job as a photographer is just to better emphasize that so people can find you.
yeah,
And that's really the big thing is just you, all you need to do is be yourself. Um, and then the photographer or myself will take it from there.
yeah.
You
And
don't have
that
to, a
kind of,
lot of people, sorry, I didn't mean to cut
no,
you
no,
off.
go ahead, go ahead.
A lot of people with photos like get nervous
Mm,
because they feel like they have to be something else or be like somebody else. But my goal
yeah.
is always just to let you be yourself and let me handle the pressure of everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super helpful. And I think that what I was going to say is that kind of brings us kind of full circle. We're talking about branding photography that attracts clients. And I think people are attracted to authenticity. And you
Yeah,
also want to work with people who
yeah,
are attracted to the personality, the vibe, the story, the message that you're putting out. And so, at the end of the day, that's just great marketing advice, Jeremy, is just be yourself. I think that's something that we all struggle with a little bit sometimes when it comes to marketing our businesses. I know
yeah,
I
me too.
have. And at the end of the day, we all want to work with people that we're a great fit for. And
Yeah,
so just be yourself. I love it. Awesome.
yeah,
All right.
thanks.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit more about folks? Where can folks find you? I believe you also mentioned you have a freebie to give away as well to our audience.
Yes. I am on Instagram and LinkedIn is just Jeremy Pentsil. My website is peakfocusmedia.co, not .com, it's just .co. um,
Cool.
and then the freebie, I believe, was the posing guide. Um, so they'll have more than those three I mentioned earlier.
Cool.
Um, I think there's about 7 poses in there.
Cool.
Um, and those are like my go-to ones I go to. Yeah, so Instagram, LinkedIn, just Jeremy Pencil, and then website is peakfocusmedia.co.
Awesome. And we'll put all of that stuff in the show notes for this episode. As always, like you could find the show notes at privatepracticeelevation.com/the number of this episode. I don't always know which number it's going to be.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not saying the exact number right
Oh yeah.
now, but you all are smart. You can figure that out. So we'll have all of that in the show notes. Thank you so much for your time, Jeremy. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for having me. It's been great. Love the show.
Thanks.